What if I told you that your deepest personal values could actually predict whether you'd be willing to take a pay cut? It sounds kind of wild, right? But today, we're diving into this really surprising connection between what you believe and what you earn, and it's a link that is totally reshaping the modern workplace. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so let's start with a direct question for you. Just think about this for a second. It's a real trade-off. Would you be willing to take less money, like a smaller paycheck every single month, in exchange for the total freedom to work from anywhere, forever? Now, your answer probably feels super personal, right? Maybe it's an immediate yes or a hard no. But what if I told you that your answer isn't just personal? What if it's part of a huge, predictable global pattern?
And that pattern brings us to this number, positive 0.0807. This little number is at the absolute heart of our story today. So what is it? Well, it comes from a global poll of over 1,200 people, and it's what's called a statistically significant correlation. In simple terms, it means this connection isn't just a random fluke. It shows a real link between a specific set of personal values, which we're going to call green values, and being willing to say yes to a 10% pay cut for remote work. Get this, the stronger your green values are, the more likely you are to take that deal. So that's the big question, isn't it? What is it about these green values that makes someone look at a pay cut and not see a loss, but a really smart investment?
All right, to figure that out, we have to look at what I'm calling the green value equation. We need to really break down what these values actually are because I promise you, once we do, this decision that seems kind of strange on the surface, it starts to make complete and total sense.
So the first thing to get is that a green value system isn't, anti-money or anything like that. It just sees money in a totally different way. It's a mindset where, sure, financial wealth is important, but it's just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. A puzzle that also includes things like the health of your community, real work-life harmony, and caring for the environment. So for someone with this mindset, work isn't just this separate thing you do for 8 hours a day. No, it's deeply woven into the fabric of their entire life.
And that's why, from their perspective, this whole calculation looks completely different. For them, trading 10% of a salary, that isn't a pay cut. Not really. It's a value gain. Think about it like a scale. On one side, you've got that 10% of your salary. But on the other side, you're piling on all this stuff that money has a really hard time buying. More time with your family, more time for your community, a smaller carbon footprint because you're not commuting, and maybe most importantly, a job that actually feels aligned with your personal integrity. It's a strategic trade, plain and simple, for a totally different kind of wealth.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. This is happening in the real world. Darren Murph, who's a leader at GitLab, that massive all-remote company, he absolutely nailed it. He said flexibility compounds into life quality that money can't buy. And that word he used, compounds, that is so key. It's not just a one-off perk. It's like making a small investment in your own well-being every single day and watching it grow and grow over time.
Okay, so the green perspective makes a lot of sense now, right? But here's where things get really interesting. Because that point of view, it is not universal, not even a little bit. To get the full picture, we have to look across a whole spectrum of different values. Because other mindsets, well, they have a completely different, almost opposite reaction.
And this just lays out the contrast so clearly. So while green is over here seeing a value gain, you have the orange value system. Now, orange is all about ambition, efficiency, and winning. For them, taking a pay cut is just a bad career move. It's inefficient. The whole point is to climb the ladder, and you don't do that by taking less. Then you've got the red system, which is all about power and strength. From that point of view, accepting less money is just a sign of weakness, period. But then, and this is fascinating, you go even further on the spectrum, to turquoise. This is a much more globally minded, systemic view. And people with these values are willing to accept an even bigger cut because they see it as part of a much larger, necessary shift toward a more sustainable and decentralized way of living and working.
So let this sink in for a second. The crucial takeaway here is that a single policy, one simple decision from leadership, like offering remote work for less pay, can, at the exact same time, inspire incredible loyalty in one group while triggering others to update their resumes and walk out the door. It's the exact same action, producing completely opposite results. Wow. So if people are going to react in such polar opposite ways, how on earth can a leader make any decision? Well, this is where understanding these kinds of correlations becomes a kind of superpower. Seriously, it lets you shift from just, making a choice and hoping for the best to actually predicting the human ripple effects of that choice. And I absolutely love this metaphor for it.
Understanding this data is like finally seeing the hidden wiring of your organization. Think about it. Every company has an org chart, right? But that's not how things really work. The hidden wiring, that's the invisible network of values, motivations, and beliefs that dictates how a decision actually flows through your team. You can't see it, but it's what determines if a new policy is going to light everyone up with excitement or just short-circuit the entire system. So here's a super simple way to think about how this predictive power works. Step 1 is the action. Management offers a 10% pay cut for remote work. Step 2, a predictive model takes that action and filters it through that hidden wiring we just talked about, all those different value profiles. And then, out come the predicted results. For your employees with strong green values, the prediction is an increase in alignment, maybe even retention. But for your employees with strong orange values, the model predicts resentment, disengagement, and a huge risk of losing your top performers. It's almost like seeing the future before it happens.
But, and this is a big but, having this kind of predictive power creates a really profound dilemma for any leader. Knowing this stuff, knowing how different people are wired to react, it forces you to ask a tough question. Are we going to use this insight for good to create better alignment? Or could it, maybe unintentionally, lead to exploitation?
And this really breaks down the two sides of that coin perfectly. So the pro side, the optimistic view, is what we'd call empathetic alignment. You can use this knowledge to tailor policies that actually improve people's holistic well-being. You can build a culture that really recognizes value that isn't just about money. But then, there's the con side, the potential for exploitation. I mean, think about it. Could a company start using someone's values as an excuse to pay them less for the exact same work? Could this make things like the gender pay gap even worse, especially if caregivers, who are still disproportionately women, are more likely to accept this kind of trade-off? And let's be honest, is this even a real choice for someone living paycheck to paycheck? Or is it a luxury, a decision that's only available to the privileged?
Which all boils down to this final, really challenging question that I want to leave you with. When we talk about flexibility and remote work, is it a true benefit that companies are now offering? Or is it slowly turning into something else, a commodity, something that you are now expected to pay for, either out of your own pocket or with your future career opportunities? There is no easy answer here, but figuring it out is going to define the future of work for every single one of us.